Hey everybody, so I'm going to start a new playlist that is for WordPress development. I will be mainly focusing on WordPress theme development, the WordPress plugin development, the custom theme development and the custom plugin development. I won't be touching any part of the page builders that are used to build website pages using drag and drop features. So our main focus will be developing a custom theme or a custom plugin using PHP, using WordPress functions that they provide actually, and also if you have a bit knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, that might be helpful. And so what you need to do, you have to visit this URL, that is wordpress.org/download, to download WordPress on your local system. And the second thing you would need is XAMPP software to create a server to run that WordPress installation and the WordPress environment actually. So if you're on Windows, you have to download the XAMPP for Windows version. If you're on Linux, you have to download for the Linux version, and if you're on Mac OS, you have to download the that particular XAMPP version. Okay, so as most of my users might be from Windows, so I will be touching this one. You have to download this latest one, that have the PHP version, that is 8.2.4. so you have to click on that download button, and that is approximately 149 MB. So once you have downloaded this and installed in your local Windows environment, you have to open that XAMPP software, and you have to run those so main services, that is the Apache and the MySQL. Okay, so click on start buttons. Once they are started, you will see the port numbers here. If you are if you are not seeing any errors, you are totally fine. If you see any error, of course you have to debug that error, what's the issue, and you have to Google it. So I don't see any issue here, so I will just minimize this XAMPP software. And as you might have already downloaded the WordPress application from here, so once you are done with that, it will download a zip file here. So let me just open it. So like this one, I already have downloaded it in the past, that is WordPress 6.2. the current version is 6.2.2, so that's totally fine. If you have downloaded the previous version, that's totally okay, you can upgrade it later. Okay, so once it's downloaded, you have to extract it. I already have extracted. And once you extract that WordPress folder, actually the folder the folder name will be WordPress, so you have to rename it according to your I'm sorry, I just deleted it. So no problem, let me just extract here again. So once you have extracted, you have to rename the WordPress site, actually a WordPress folder. So that WordPress folder name should be according to your WordPress site or WordPress title, whatever you are gonna build. The client's project name or the client's WordPress site name. So it can be anything. In my case, I'm going to rename it as lecture 1. Okay, so you have to rename it to any name that the client has for his website. Okay, so once you are done with that, just copy this folder, or you can cut this folder from here. Okay, and go to your this PC, and go to your C drive. That's where our XAMPP folder should be. Where once you have installed XAMPP, of course it should appear here. When you visit the XAMPP folder, you should see a folder named htdocs, so you can visit that folder and paste the WordPress folder that you just copied, or you just cut. So that's totally okay. So it's actually in the process, as you can see. So once it's finished, you should see it here. I already have multiple WordPress websites here, so that's totally fine. Whenever you are going to work on a new WordPress project, you have to download a new WordPress from their website, or if you have already downloaded the previous one, just like I already have, so you can just extract that zip file and move your WordPress folder from your downloads folder to that C drive, the exams folder, and into the htdocs folder. Okay, so once this part is done, we will just move to our browser. Okay, and here we have to type localhost. Okay, so what we are actually doing right now, we are going to create an empty WordPress dashboard or database, I'm sorry. Okay, so I already have a few databases here, so you just have to click the new button here. That's so you can name your database anything actually you want, but I would suggest that you should name your WordPress database name as your WordPress folder name. Like in my case, it was lecture 1, the WordPress folder name was lecture 1. Okay, so I will name my database as lecture 1. Okay, so if you want even another name, you can do that, but and just in case if you have multiple WordPress websites, multiple databases, so you just don't be confused in the future that which database is connected to which WordPress website. So that's why, to avoid any confusion in the future, we're gonna name the same name as we already have the WordPress folder. Okay, so in my case it was lecture 1. Okay, so I will just create click on that create button. The database will be created, that would be totally empty, no tables in it, so that's totally fine. WordPress will handle that automatically. So we will go and visit our WordPress environment to set up it. So what you need to do, you have to type in your URL in your browser, that is localhost slash the name of your WordPress folder. Okay, in my case the WordPress folder name was lecture 1. Remember, it should not be the name of your database, it should be name of your WordPress folder, just in case if you have two different names of the WordPress folder and for the WordPress database. Okay, so in my case it was lecture 1. I will just type that in the URL and just press enter. Okay, so the basic installation of WordPress will begin. So it will ask a few inputs from us, so we'll just provide that. First of all, it's a language thing, whatever language you prefer, you can install it in that language. So most recommendedly it should be English United States, but whatever you want, you can just select that language. We will click on continue button, and it will there's some information here. Actually, before getting started, you will need to know the following items. So it says that we should have our database name that we just created here. Our database name is lecture 1. Okay, so the second thing that it's going to ask us, that is database username. As we just have created an empty database, we don't have any username or any password. So by default, when you install a XAMPP on your local system, the database username is root and the password is empty if you're working on a local environment. If you're working on a live hosting service, of course we will be providing the username, the password and the database name. Okay, so we will click on let's go folder. We will provide our database name here, our database username here, which is root, our password, which is totally blank. I mean, there's nothing, it's totally blank, it should be blank. Okay, and don't touch anything else. Okay, and you have to click on that submit button. The first way is this one, if you want to connect your database to your WordPress installation process or WordPress environment. The second way is that if you just visit to your lecture 1 WordPress folder here, and if I just go inside it, we can see a few files and a few folders. I can see a file that is named as wp-config-sample. Okay, so you just have to open it in your editor, whatever editor you prefer. Actually I prefer the VS Code. So the same process we just did here, you can, instead of doing this, you can also do that process from here in that wp-config-sample file. What you need to do, you need to place your database name here, which in my case it was lecture 1, and the database username, which I just told you, it should be root, and the password, that should be empty. That's it, nothing else. You just have to don't touch anything else. Okay, once you're done with it, you have to click on save as button, and instead of wp-config-sample, your new file name should be wp-config okay, and then click on save. So once you're done with that, this actually, let me just open my browser. This process will be skipped, okay, if you're working from your wp-config file. If you're not, then of course the browser version will work. Okay, I won't be doing this. Let's just undo everything that I just did and just close that file. Okay, so I'm just trying to make things easier for you. So let's click on that submit button. Yeah, the database is simply successfully connected. Run the installation, and you just need to provide a site title. Don't worry, you can just change that site title later on, so it's not permanent. The username and password that it's asking us right now, that should be different from your database. It's used for the WordPress dashboard environment. So whenever you want to log in to your dashboard environment or access your dashboard environment, you will need that username, and that password. Okay, so if you're working on a local environment, I would suggest that use any username and password that you can remember easily. So don't just make things worse for you. So most of the developers just put the username as admin and password as admin for their local environment. Remember, whenever you're going to deploy this site on a live hosting platform, of course we will be changing our username, our password, and the other things. But for our local environment, that's totally fine. You can just add your username and password as admin so that it can be remembered easily. It's too easy for us to remember. So you just have to check that box, that's confirm use of weak password. So that's totally okay. And your email address, so that email address can be later on used if you forget your password, or if you want the email functionality in your website for the contact us pages or any other forms. So that email should be real, but in my case I am not gonna use my real email, so that's totally fine. Even the forgot password thing or even the email thing is not gonna work on your local system unless it's set up already. So in that case it would be working. So I'm just putting admin@farhan.com. okay, so I don't own this website farhan.com, and I don't have any email associated with that admin@farhan.com. so that's totally fine. It's not gonna verify it. So just click on install WordPress. So we are almost done. There's no process left. So WordPress has been installed. Thank you and enjoy. So let's log in. I just have to put my username and my password, that is admin, and I will click on login button so that I can see my WordPress environment. So that's it. Our WordPress environment is successfully set up on our local environment. Okay, so I'm just assuming that you might have a basic knowledge of WordPress dashboard here. So I will be visiting that themes part here so that we can see which themes we already have by default when you install WordPress. That is 2023, 2021 and 2022. These three themes are by default provided by WordPress, and the same if we visit the plugins, we will see two default plugins by WordPress. So they are not even activated. You can add new plugins or add new themes from there, so if you want. But in the main part, or the main focus of this lecture is to learn about WordPress custom theme development and custom plugin development. So we won't be installing any third-party plugins or any third-party themes. Okay, so let me just take you to the dashboard, the database of WordPress. So if I just refresh this, I can see there are 12 tables now that are added by WordPress by default, and we will later on discuss those tables one by one, that which table contains what kind of data. So that's totally fine. You can just leave those tables as they are now. Don't delete anything. Okay, so they are mandatory for WordPress installation process. So if we just go through our folder structure here, as you can see, when if as you know, we already have set up our WordPress installation from the browser part. So if you can see that I already have WP config file here. If I just open it in a code editor, So you can see the database name here, that's lecture 1, the database username, that is root, password is totally empty. So we have both the ways, if we whatever you prefer. Okay, that's totally fine. The file name is wp-config. I mean the dash sample part is not here in that file name. So if we just visit the wp-content folder, we can see plugins folder here. I mean whatever the plugins you install in your WordPress dashboard, the plugins will appear here, and whatever the themes you download from your WordPress dashboard, that should appear here. So we will be creating our custom theme in that themes folder, and we will go through each and every file of that WordPress theme that we are gonna work on, and I will try to make things more easier, as much as I can do. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions for that, or if you face any issues. I will try to resolve those as much as I can. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.